Hi Colin, sorry it's taken a bit long to do this last video. I have been busy, but also it's quite a big subject and I've been trying to work out the best way to try and kind of deal with it. So I think what I'll do is I'll do this in 3 parts and I'll try and stick to 5 minutes each part, and you can break them up if you'd like to, or we can have it as one big video. So I thought this is about transport strategy review, things about buses, bicycles, bypasses, bridges, etc. So that's the kind of the big question that vexes a lot of people if you look at the social media. One thing I think is important to just stress straight away is that a bypass is never going to come, tomorrow. It was never going to come tomorrow, regardless of whether we cancel the current Conservative plans or otherwise. It's about 10 years away if the Conservatives had carried on with their plans, and they've taken 12 years to get to that level. So it's a bit irresponsible sometimes when people post on, clickbait sites and all the rest of it, that basically, you're stuck in traffic, you're frustrated. Well, it could all be cured if you had a bypass. I think it's important to realise that that wouldn't happen instantly. So let's just be realistic and sensible about everything, including other solutions, other alternatives, which would take time, but could be done quicker, many of them, than thinking about just a bypass. So we came in as an administration in 2019, seems a long time ago now, with COVID and floods and everything we've had to deal with, but it was 2 years ago. And we inherited basically one strategy for transport in Hereford. As I said, for the last 12 years, the Conservative administration that had 3 lots of 4 years in a row had decided that the way to deal with Hereford's transport problems and the way to come up with solutions was simply to build a bypass, or plan to build a bypass in the west of Hereford. And that would take, as I said, it's taken 12 years to plan, and it's going to be another 10 years to deliver on their plans at a cost of about, well, in excess of 200 million. And where we get that from is another question. So we came in and we thought that since those plans were started, we had the declaration of climate emergency by both the local Conservative Council, full credit to them, and also the National Parliament. And more emphasis has been put on the fact that we must be more thoughtful about what we're doing to our planet and how we're travelling and how that's impacting on our planet. And the direction from central government, Conservative central government, I might add once again, from Grant Shapps, who's the Minister for Transport, Secretary of State for Transport, is that they expect us as local authorities to look at doing the least damaging infrastructure first, to try and get people to get out of their cars and get onto bicycles, or to walk, or to get onto public transport if possible. And so when we came in, we thought, and just so for clarity, because a lot of people, it's very easy to sort of think that everyone in the county and the city believes in a western bypass, especially if you read, as I said, some of the clickbait sites. We removed, as an administration, when we came in, as an alliance between It's Our County, the Independents and the Greens, we removed 13 Conservatives, okay, from administration. And that's why we became the ruling group. Now, Conservatives say that that only happened because of Brexit. Now, we all need a reason to explain a loss, and that's kind of human nature, so I can forgive that. But Worcestershire, Gloucestershire, Shropshire, that stayed Conservative. So what happened in Hereford that was different? Well, I think what happened in Hereford that was different is all of us campaigned on the basis that we didn't support a western bypass. We all campaigned on the basis that we need to look at alternatives, and many of us campaigned on the basis that that needed to be an eastern bridge. Not a bypass in the east, but an eastern bridge. When we came in, we inherited, as I said, a single scheme. In a sense, it's made up of 2 schemes, which was the South-wide transport package, which included the Southern Link Road in the south that went from Belmont Abbey across to the Ross Road, where that little roundabout is, not far from the Grafton pub. That was more advanced. I wouldn't say necessarily more credible, because it didn't have a business case and it didn't get given the money in the end. The other part of that Western Bypass scheme was the Hereford Transport Package, which included the Hereford Relief Road, and that was to go from the Leominster Road across the new developments north of the Roman Road opposite the racecourse, and down through Three Elms, through Brainton, across by Belmont Abbey, and then connect up with the Southern Link Road. So those were the schemes that basically were one scheme that the Conservatives were calling the Western Bypass. When we came in, there was no money whatsoever allocated to the Hereford Transport Package, which included the Hereford Relief Road, the one that was going to go from Leominster Road across down through Boberstock and Brainton. Now, many people have said, oh, the money was there, it was waiting, it was lined up. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. There was no money allocated at all. All we'd done, we didn't even have planning permission for that. All the Conservatives had done was get kind of promises off the sort of national agencies like Midlands Connect that if that was what's important to us, they would fight for us and they would try and get us the money. I've heard people say, well, actually there was housing infrastructure money and, you know, Homes England were going to give money and all the rest of it. No, there was no money allocated. The fact that we were allowed to bid for things, or that we'd been, you know, we've been accepted as bidders, is not the same thing as being given money. No matter which way you cut it, you know, all the winks and nudges that you think you're getting, it just doesn't happen. You know, if you're not given the money, you're not given the money. It's like me buying a lottery ticket. That doesn't mean I've got the money. I mean, it's not as far out as that, but, you know, it is not the same thing as being given the money. So there was no money allocated. There's no written document anywhere whatsoever that says Herefordshire was going to get given any money for the western part of that bypass. The part that they had got money allocated but not released was for the southern part of that western bypass, and that was the Southern Link Road as part of the Southwide Transport Package. That had been granted money through the growth funds, which was something that came via Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government in 2014. But the money hadn't been released because we hadn't proved the business case. So that because it was a road project, DFT retained control of that. And DFT said, you haven't given us a business case that's credible. We're not going to release the money. Now, one of the reasons that I think we couldn't produce a business case was because, you know, it was difficult to make everything add up. But more practically, we also cocked up, I say we, the Conservatives, cocked up the tendering process, because for that Southern Link Road, before you put the business case in, you needed to have a road builder. So you need to go out to tender and procure a road builder. And Balfour Beatty did that process for us and whoever else they used. And essentially what happened was that it became clear that that was not a robust enough process and that we couldn't proceed with it. The financial risk was too high. And that's in the public domain. But, you know, for whatever reason, the Conservatives kept that secret from around about autumn 2018 until we came in as administration in May 2019. And I don't know why. It's best you ask, you know, people like Councillor Shaw and Leicester why that happened. But essentially, I suspect it's because it would have been embarrassing before an election. So we came in. We had one part of the Western Bypass which had no money allocated to it at all. We had the second part of the Western Bypass, which is the Southern Link Road and the Southwide Transport Package, which had money allocated but not released. And that money had to be spent and the road built, if you were going to build a road, by March 2021, which is quite a tight schedule. And of course, the first thing we said is we need to review this because the world has changed. We don't believe in a Western route anyway. You know, we do think a crossing is important. We do think modal shift's important, but we don't believe in a Western road. So we need to review it. And that review took some time, much longer than I wanted to. And, you know, so we started the review, and the Marchers Local Enterprise Partnership, which was holding that funding for the Southwide Transport Package and the Southern Link Road, said that we had to basically, you know, make a decision really quickly and crack on and build the road if we wanted the money. And we said we didn't think we could achieve that in time anyway because of the cock-up in the procurement, which we'd have to cancel and restart. And secondly, we wanted to review things. It was legitimate for a new administration to come in and review it. But we weren't supported by the Marchers Local Enterprise Partnership on that. And actually our two representatives, you know, did not support us either. One of them being Frank Myers on the business and the Herefordshire Business Board. So that was disappointing. But we carried on with our review and completed our review. And we then got to a position where that review clearly said to us, as far as we were concerned, and the recommendation of scrutiny, which is a cross-party committee, and also the recommendations of Cabinet, and then eventually the full vote at Council a few weeks ago, said the best thing to do is to encourage modal shift, to put real investment into cycling and walking, to start building the best improvements to bus networks, working with local providers and putting money into the bus systems, into the infrastructure. In Hereford, lanes are not going to work in the same way as they would elsewhere, but actually things like having priority at junctions will work. And the third element was looking at getting a bridge across in the east. Alongside these things are things like tackling the school transport, the work that we're doing at Pontrilas to get a train station in there, which is looking really promising, and lots of other different ways of improving the road network, including improvements to the south, you know, to see if we can get an alternative route from places like Tram Inn across onto the Ross Road by improving existing roads and making slight adjustments. So that's kind of where we are.